Morning, everybody. Welcome to Lockpod Season 11, Episode 18. We are the Midwest's most dangerous podcast, and we're coming to you live from the NECA IBEW Powerade, Indiana, Lake County Studios. Welcome back, everybody. It's International Women's Day. Thank you, Jill.
As Jill gives you
Guys,
guys
freaking
coffee.
screwed up.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, that's some
You
fucking
said-
bullshit.
it's
Like, I can make my own coffee. I'll be honest with
It's
you.
International
Like, I feel-
Women's Day. Thank you,
Thanks,
Jill.
Jill, for the coffee.
Where's my coffee, woman?
That's some bullshit right there.
I also don't have shoes on.
That
was great
I can make my
timing.
own coffee. I don't know how this whole thing started, but I am able. I make coffee every day.
Yeah, I asked for it. Sorry.
Yeah. So welcome back, everybody. Good to see you. Hey, Joe, what's up?
Hey.
Season
You
11,
see our
episode
guest
18.
today? Season 11, episode 18. What's that?
No, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, Paul Vallas, the former candidate for mayor of Chicago, who has an amazing. So he's a guest in studio today. Kevin, did you know that?
Wow. Should I look surprised?
Kevin and I were ripping through
That's
this guy's
pretty-
resume last night.
Well, yeah, I mean, I knew a little bit about him. We both knew a little bit about him, but
I
I think
did.
really reading about him was very interesting. I can't wait to ask him some things.
I thought I knew about him. I knew he was like a law and order guy. I knew that, and that's why I thought he should win as mayor of Chicago. And that's why, I mean, whatever, I supported him, but it doesn't matter because I can't even vote there.
Right.
But I thought that it was best if he won at the time, and when he lost, I was shocked a little bit.
Yeah, I think because he was the front runner coming out of the, like in Illinois, what they do is it doesn't matter what party you are, run in February, and then the top two, provided nobody gets 50.
By the way, that's a good system.
Yeah.
I mean, we should do that system in Indiana
Yeah.
because, sometimes you'll have situations where, like when I ran for Congress and there's 18 freaking candidates, and then the winner, Frank, won with 26% of the vote or something like that, right?
Versus like a head-to-head.
Right, yeah, versus a head-to-head, because in a case like that, I don't even want to get into it, but just
Season 1, Episode 1.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is you have a situation where if there's a lot of candidates, like in Illinois primaries, you're going to have a lot of candidates, and then you break out to two highest scorers, and then they go head-to-head. So one of them has to get 50%.
Well, so the interesting thing is if it would have been like an Indiana primary, Paul Vallas would be the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
In Illinois,
he'd be the mayor of Chicago
with
right
about
now.
I don't know what he had, 18 or 20. I don't even
which
know
is,
what
by
it was.
the way, it's not a good way to walk into office. You're walking into office with 18% of the support. You need 51. That's why having a runoff like they do in Illinois is smart.
It kind of reminds me of how you and now Chairman Jim does caucuses within our Democratic Party. Hey, if you can get 50 plus one, you're in. If you can't, the bottom two, last one drops off, and then the next one drops off. And so, interestingly, for example, in California right now, I saw an article about the Senate seat out there, U.S. Senate seat, and they do it that way too. And
Progressive states, states that
because Schiff is actually. I heard he's trying to get a Republican to be the second in line instead of another Democrat. You can have two Democrats running for a runoff as well.
Right. Isn't Steve Garvey running for U.S.?
Yes. Steve Garvey is running.
Just got that look.
I hate
you don't know
Steve
who
Garvey.
Steve Garvey is?
I hate Steve Garvey.
You know who Steve Garvey is, John?
Yeah, he's ahead in the poll. He's leading shit.
No, but
Do
do
you
you
know
know
who
him?
Steve
Do you know
Garvey
his
is?
background?
Yes.
Who?
Oh, and all of his background? No. What am I missing?
That's
he's an actor.
Garvey with a G,
No,
right?
dude. This just shows the
With
difference
a
in
G.
age.
Garvey with a G,
What?
not Steve Harvey with the
No,
mustache.
not
No, I know.
Steve Garvey.
Yeah, definitely
Dude,
don't know who
for
that is.
First
guys
baseman,
like
first
me and-
baseman for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
and the
When?
Padres in
And the
'84
Padres,
when
right,
they beat
right.
the Cubs in the playoffs.
Wait,
So that was a
did
shit
you say
show.
84?
84.
Yeah, that's why I don't know who that is.
But you have to understand though, Kevin and I, that's where we know how much older we are than you, because everybody our age knows who Steve Garvey.
Steve
is.
Garvey was a superstar.
Yeah.
For the Los Angeles
was a
Dodgers.
dick. I hated him.
Oh, he always has been a
He
dick.
looks like that. He looked like that back when he played too. He's really his
Always
face
has been a
doesn't
dick.
move. He talks to you and he looks handsome all the time. He's annoying as
That's
hell.
annoying.
and he was really good and
He was
just
really
beat
good.
the Cubs
I
and
hate
it was
him,
just
man.
yeah.
Every Cub fan hates him.
Yeah,
I hate that guy.
They better hope they don't have a lot of Cubs fans out in California
And he's
because they're not voting for
Yeah,
him.
this guy's a dick. I want him to lose so bad.
Who's that comedian? Rob Riggle? He looks like him.
Yeah, he does look like Rob Riggle. That's the guy that was in Seinfeld, right?
I think he had a guest spot or something. on it.
I'm
He
trying to
was-
remember what his thing was in Seinfeld. Wasn't he
He was Elaine's boyfriend or something.
Yeah, and he was like a dummy, right?
Oh, yeah. They
I
all
loved
were.
it. I love how he plays the dummy. Yeah.
By the way, stay tuned for Paul Vallas. It's going to be a great. He's going to
that
come
was
on right
how
after 8 o'clock.
We got off script there, but Paul Vallas is our guest. And another thing, so we're keeping you intrigued, obviously, because you want to stick around. We're doing half and half show today. The second half of the show is going to be Paul Vallas. But right before we go to break, we're going to announce Thursday's headliner at the Festival of Lakes.
Wow,
Okay,
that is exciting.
Whoa.
so tickets will go on sale. It's a big announcement. I think it's big.
It is a big announcement.
I think it is, yeah. So Thursday's headliner. Festival of Lakes will be announced today. Next week, we're going to announce Latin Night.
I think 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And then the week after that, we're going to announce
Friday night.
Yep.
And by the way, I just happened to notice a post that a festival put up yesterday on their Facebook page about saying, like, stay tuned, big announcement.
Right.
Like, within a couple hours, it had 1,000 likes.
Oh, no way.
It was like, everyone's pumped. So this is going to be great. By the way, coming today from our NECA IBW Powering Indiana Lake County Studios.
Okay, so we previewed our show. How's it going, everybody? Did you see? By the way, Jill, I know you probably don't get the paper because you're young.
Sure
Nobody young gets a paper.
Nobody young knows who Steve Garvey is.
Right, but on the front page the other day, did you see that there was like a neo-Nazi in downtown Valparaiso protesting with a sign, "Keep the region white"?
Yeah, it was so weird. Actually, John and I talked about it when it came out because we were like, "This is so bizarre."
And people tagged
Valpo?
us on X to talk about it. They're like, "You guys should talk."
He was
about
in the
this.
square in Valpo.
Yeah, it's so like you can see
Valpo's like a little. For those of you that don't know, Valpo's like a little, like 25,000 wealthy white community in the region. We live in the region. We call this, but it's like 600,000-700,000 people between the two counties. And so we're one big metropolis. So people in Valpo, I consider them neighbors, even though they're literally 30 miles away.
So I'd say it's probably 20 minutes outside of Chicago. Fair?
Yeah.
Right? And to the east.
With traffic, 2 hours probably.
Right.
But
here's this gentleman.
So he is like...
Here's this scumbag.
GoPro'd up.
Loser.
He's got his
Tactical
GoPro.
gear.
He looks like he's going skiing. The only thing you can see his eyes. Right?
He's got a mask on.
He's got everything covered. His fingernails, everything on his body's covered in black, and he's got a sign that says "Keep the region white," and it's got a skull on it.
And he's
a
dressed in
swastika.
black.
And the QR
Yeah,
code.
go figure. That's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
ironic.
Funny enough, he should be dressed in all white, but and he's got a
With
swastika
the hood on, by the way.
Swastika, skull,
And a
1488.
QR
I don't know what that means, and a QR code.
The QR code goes to the Nationalist Socialist Party of Northwest Indiana. So for those that know National Socialist Party, that was the name of the Nazi party in Germany.
And I was wondering, like, socialist. So I scanned the QR code. I was just curious, and it opens up the Telegram app.
Whoa.
Wait,
and
what? There's a Telegram app?
What does that
I
mean?
use Telegram.
What does
all
that
the
mean?
time.
I'm showing my age.
I don't know.
So
I was going to say
Telegram.
this is something we don't know.
Is that like Twitch?
I can answer that question.
Thank
Telegram's a messaging app, like a secure messaging app, but also you can follow people on it. They can like post on like their feed.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyways, this Northwest Indiana National Socialist Action has 14 members on their Telegram
What a
channel.
losers.
I didn't subscribe,
Freaking
so I
losers.
can't see the posts unless you subscribe. But
What a group of losers.
Yes.
Little dweebs.
I
So
hope
this-
they drive by your house and
That would be-
like the other guy.
Yeah, right.
did. Yeah.
That'd
I
be
wouldn't be
awesome.
as jovial if these pricks drove by my house.
Yeah, and this guy was like basically shouting out like some really rude and terrible things. Like he was, and people confronted him, tore up his sign, and it said that he went on to like yell at people, like "Go find yourself a nice white girl, white power."
Yeah.
And then, I mean, insanity. And then, like, I saw that Mayor Costas issued a statement, obviously, that there's no place for this in Valparaiso. But
Mayor Costas is a Republican, but the thing about Mayor Costas, in my opinion, and I didn't mean to say but, because I'm sure Republicans are good people. There's a lot of Republicans that are good people. Not even, I'm sure. There are. But Mayor Costas is also a very religious person. He's a very proper person. He does not condone this kind of BS. There's no way that Mayor Costas would condone this. So I'm glad he came out.
yeah, and this guy, when he got kind of attacked by people that saw it, they were like, "Screw this!" Right? They kind of approached him and went after him.
That's what you got to do, right?
Yeah, and they tore up his sign,
Make
and
him feel
then a
uncomfortable.
handgun fell out,
Yeah.
and a guy there said, "Shoot me." Go ahead, shoot
Okay,
me.
so like this is the interesting thing. I
I
was
don't know if I
asking
would've said
Kevin
that.
yesterday because this is hate speech, which I think is against federal law. There's federal laws against this type of speech, and now the guy's carrying a gun and it falls out. You're starting to mix two things together there that I think that feds could possibly have jurisdiction over.
You know,
because they identified the guy, which is amazing. Also,
well, the feds didn't, Reddit did. So, and we're not.
how
gonna
did
do
that happen, John? Okay,
I
we're
have
not
no
going to say his
idea.
name.
I have
We're
no
not going to
idea.
say his name because we don't want to get sued by this prick, right?
No.
Okay, but literally his eyeballs are showing. Okay, he has everything covered, and Reddit came out and identified this guy, and it looks just like his eyeballs and his eyelashes. It looks just like him. I mean, and it was affirmatively stated, this is the guy's name. His name is Theo, and this is him, and I didn't say the last name, okay? And this is him, and they freaking put his Facebook profile up and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. And going back to what you said about federal law and stuff, it's one of those things where I think he's got the First Amendment right to do this.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't think he did anything. Like, it's when your hate speech,
right,
or you commit a crime and it's based on your hate.
So if
right?
he like pointed a gun at somebody while doing
Buffalo, New York, I go into a grocery store and shoot a bunch of people. Right? I mean, right. So I don't.
That's obvious.
I don't think there's anything against the law, even though it's disgusting and I hate it. But I don't think there's anything against the law for him sitting in the square.
But if he threatened somebody with the gun.
I think so. And he had a gun on him, which is very scary. But
I guess I have a couple thoughts here. Like the keep the region white. Keep. Mm-hmm. This is like a nice mix. When has it been white? Like I don't really remember a time.
Well, maybe. I think if you look 100 years ago, if you read the book, what's the book called?
Terror in the Heartland, or no?
Something in the Heartland.
Fever in the Heartland, or something like that.
Fever in the Heartland.
Yeah.
It talks 100 years ago, literally. In Indiana, the Ku Klux Klan was completely active. In fact, we had a governor that was elected with the power of the KKK. The General Assembly was dominated by the KKK. So is it unreasonable to think that Indiana could swing like this? I mean, it happened 100 years ago.
Well, I think there might be, I think there's feelings like this in Indiana for sure, and it's obvious. But I mean, to John's point, like even after the Great Migration, post-Civil War, I mean, Indiana's been, at least around here, it's been very diverse. But you're right, the rest of Indiana,
when you go to Southern Indiana, it's not too diverse.
Oh no, when Tom was campaigning for Senate, when we did like demographic, kind of like research, it was generally 90 to 93% white in each county.
And by the way,
a lot of counties in Indiana.
I would show up in these places, and I have a super diverse crew. I had a lot of LGBTQ, I had a lot of African Americans, I had a lot of Hispanics, and we'd come rolling in, and you could see in some places they'd be looking at us like, "Whoa,
who's from out of town?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's obvious.
Yeah, so but you're right, John. Keep the region white.
I think it should.
Really
I guess I'm
weird.
hung up on the grammar. Like it should be
terrible.
Make the region.
There you
if
go.
You
Who
really
was this
want
guy's
to
fucking English teacher.
Also, he's doing this in Valpo, like one of the whitest.
Valpo is literally 90% Caucasian.
Like, do this at 4th and Broadway.
Yeah, do it. Yeah,
right. Come to Hammond, buddy. He would get pounded. That's why he didn't do it. Right.
Do this at City Hall in Hammond.
Yeah.
Go to the go to the bank building in Gary. Yeah. I hope he does.
Where's
See what
his
happens.
next stop?
So
Like how brave
it should have been keep Valpo white.
Keep Valpo.
Keep Valpo white.
Honestly,
Exactly.
keep Porter County. Although Porter County is diverse in Portage, right?
Becoming more and more.
Portage.
African American on the Valpo Council.
Councilman Cotton, he's been a couple terms, and maybe even 3 terms. He's been there for a while. The thing about Valpo is interesting to me is their city council is not going to take this shit sitting down.
Nope.
That Valpo city council is progressive as they come, and they got
Which is so interesting to me.
They have an old school conservative mayor and a super progressive council. It's interesting what's going on in Valpo.
It's an interesting dynamic.
I tell you what, I think we should pull in that Valpo councilwoman.
That'd be great.
I think her last name's Capitan.
Yeah, bring her in.
Or Mr. Cotton, who's been there. And
Come
Mr.
on, Steve
Cotton's
Kellogg.
He's really seen. Steve knows these people because he lives out there.
Yep.
I should, you know what? We should reach out to Councilman Cotton and Councilwoman Capitan and see if they'd come in.
Talk about dynamic.
I am interested in that. Like, because Costas is, he is conservative Republican as they come. Like, super, super old school, like Ronald Reagan conservative. And then you got this. It's like, whoa.
I think we should have this kid in here.
Oh, no, thank you.
He would never identify himself.
I don't want him. I don't want to give him any. I don't want to give him a platform. I really don't.
He's a piece of shit, dude. Yeah.
And by the way, Chris Jones, who went to Valpo University, he said the KKK tried to buy Valpo U back in the day.
That's a true story. That was in Fever in the Heartland.
Wow.
KKK, before it was a Protestant university, KKK made a serious offer on Valparaiso, and they wanted to turn it into the KKK college, and that was turned down. That was 100 years ago, a little over 100 years ago. Isn't that crazy?
Also,
that's
thank you.
a true story.
Are there KKK colleges?
There were at the time though, Jill. There was like a serious movement in America that was like purity, and it was like it was gonna it was good for America. It was patriotic. It was.
That sounds familiar.
And in Indiana, it does sound familiar, and it's like it makes me think. Like I think the whole purpose of putting out Fever in the Heartland when they did, it just came out like last summer. I think the whole purpose of that was to show. To me, it spoke widely about Trumpism. It's like, yeah, it's totally possible to get charmed by a snake oil salesman, just like that
Hitler.
Griffin. Well, W.E.B. Gritton. But like W.E.B. Gritton was the Grand Dragon of the KKK, and he sold America on this vision, and we bought all into it. And I think that 100 years from now, people will be saying the same thing about Trump.
Thank you, Judge Marissa, for doing a little research on the sign. The 88 you see on the sign is for Heil Hitler because 8 is the eighth. Is the H is the 8th letter in the English alphabet, of course. So 88 is Heil Hitler.
Wow.
Yeah.
And 14 is like Marissa says is the 14 words that neo-Nazis say to promote their idea that races shouldn't mix.
Fuck these people, man.
Yep. Bad.
This is embarrassing that we're even dealing with this
Yep.
little loser.
I'm glad he got his ass
The thing
kicked.
is, honestly, I'm glad he got identified. I hope it's him, and I hope that because there's a business connection in Northwest Indiana, and I hope everybody ignores that fucking business. If it's true that this guy is the one, I hope nobody goes that business and they go freaking bankrupt. I hope that's the ultimate result because this guy's a little piece of shit.
Yep.
So.
All right. That's what's going on in Valpo.
There you go.
And good job, by the way, Mayor Costas and the council out there for getting on it right away and like
I wish we could
saying
say his
what
name.
you. No, we're not saying his name because it hasn't been identified yet.
I don't like swatting in
I don't
general,
either.
man.
I
Like
agree.
as a general
What is
rule,
swatting? What does that
like
mean?
where you
When you out
identify
somebody.
people. Yeah, you like and then there's like SWAT. Yeah, I just
Well,
don't,
so
don't
you
like the
think
whole-
if you go out there and do something like this, you shouldn't be identified?
I just would want
Probably
the
not.
authorities to announce it first because I have no
Okay.
idea.
I'm down
it
with
was
that.
done on
I'm down with that.
Twitter.
I agree with you.
So,
but that's
yeah.
pretty incredible because within like an hour, Reddit had this guy's
Yep.
identity up, and he's
That's
not
crazy.
showing any skin.
I mean, but like somebody knows who he is.
Sure.
Okay.
Obviously,
Sure.
somebody's
Yeah.
gonna turn him in.
Gotcha.
Somebody on
so
Reddit.
somebody's
Yeah.
like,
Rat
"Oh
him
my
out.
god, you see what Josh is doing, right,
Right.
or whatever, right?"
Mhm.
I'm making that name up.
Oh, I was just in church with him on Sunday.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and they're like, "Oh my
What's he
god,
doing
it's
out here?"
He
obviously
didn't seem
him."
like a Nazi at
Plus,
church.
I saw him buying that cardboard. You know, like I was wondering what he's buying.
He
that
was doing that in
cardboard.
art class, man, in
Science
8th
fair.
period.
Oh boy.
It was good stuff.
Yeah,
All right,
so-
well, that's
right.
what's going on in Valpo.
Jill, did you watch the State of the Union last night?
Absolutely not.
I didn't either. Okay, so you and I are going to be quiet during this segment.
Yeah,
Why
so
didn't you watch it, Jill?
I was sleeping.
This whole race completely freaking bores me. That's why, and I don't want to buy into it because it's a freaking disgrace in my opinion. So anyway,
it's a race, and what I would say is
it's hard to say a race between two 80-year-olds.
All right, it's a crawl.
Okay.
So the thing that I would say about it was maybe my hopes were so low I was nervous for Biden. I was like, oh my God, it's going to really show his age. He's going to be terrible. And I was pleasantly surprised. Again, maybe because I didn't have high hopes, but he was good. He was on and he was energetic. Now, maybe he, I don't know, like did a line before he got on into the Capitol or
something. They gave him something.
yeah, so he
Here,
was
take this blue pill.
He was really good. And I thought even better.
Not that pill, Jill.
I thought that
There's another one.
Yes.
that's for later.
Yeah.
So,
Like, oh shit, wrong one. Sorry, President.
Oops.
but he took on
That's why
Trump.
there's a podium.
He took on Trump by just saying like my predecessor, and this is one just a short clip of it, and then I want to go into like what some of the the non-decorum type.
Oh, I see Todd Young right
Republicans
off
were
the bat.
doing.
I see him right here. You see him?
He's in the
Yeah,
crowd.
right here.
front
Yeah,
center.
he said he's
Front-
not going to support Trump. By the way.
Yeah,
He did.
Yeah,
Yep.
I just saw that
Good for you.
yesterday.
You know what, man?
I know. Could
I
be
have
worse.
to say,
Loser.
what are you talking
Nah,
about,
he
man?
could be
I
worse.
tip my cap to Todd. Todd is like an individual. You have to give him, and there's a guy who ran against him, beat up, but he's a strong person.
Independent thinker.
He's a strong person.
Independent
As the guy that got beat by Todd Young, I'm on the record saying he's a strong person. Like right after he beat me, he voted for gay marriage.
Yeah, it
As
kind
a
of reminds me.
Republican.
It kind of reminds me of kind of like how you are in the Democratic Party. You're not like okay,
Pissing
I'm
people
beholden
off?
to the party. I'm
Pissing
not.
people off.
Yeah, I'm not beholden to the party. You know, I'm much more of a party guy. Tom's much more of a he's going to do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Criticize
Here's
the
the president.
81-year-old president.
Here we go.
My predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, do whatever the hell you want. That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
So
Out of context.
yeah.
It's true.
So
what are you talking about out of context? That's
Totally
not,
out of context.
I'm like being an independent
What?
here. I think that the
Out of
president's dead on this one. I do.
Totally.
And I'm not like a blind lackey for him, John, but like Donald Trump did say that, didn't he?
you can't give quarter to Vladimir Putin. And
Vladimir
that's what Trump
Putin
does
is a
all
piece
the time.
of garbage dictator that wants to bomb us into oblivion. And Donald Trump is like trying to buddy up
Encourage
to him.
him to
I don't
go
think
after
so.
Europe.
I don't think so.
All right.
I think Trump has said multiple times would say that to NATO countries that need to pay up. It's a negotiation tactic.
What if he said it about President Xi from China? What if he said it about
Taiwan.
what if North Korea?
But he's talking about NATO countries that aren't paying.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you know
but
what?
they're our
Into NATO.
allies.
Sometimes they can't pay the bills. We're still like unfortunately, we're the protector of the world. And you can't let Western Europe
I mean,
collapse.
I mean, I agree with Kevin. We are the protector of the world. I don't necessarily think that's wise for America because we're in every conflict across the globe. But what do you think, Joe? Is he lying there or is he telling the truth?
I mean, what context? What is the context then? Like, I don't.
Yeah, John.
The context is more than once Trump has said in speeches he would say this to NATO countries that aren't paying their way. And actually, one NATO country after it did start paying. I can't remember the exact.
Germany.
It was Germany?
Well, they were like at 1.8 and they
so
got
it
up
worked.
to 2%.
Great.
Okay, so
But if it also results in Putin thinking he can go like invade Estonia, I think it was a bad decision to go and say, I don't care, do whatever the hell you want.
Right.
I mean, it's not all about words, and unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, depending on which end of the spectrum you're on, both Trump and Biden's words matter. And I agree. Leadership words matter.
All right.
So
what else we got?
So the other thing I thought was interesting was one of our favorite gifts that keep giving, Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is probably too strong of a word, approached Biden as he was coming in. As you all know, like he comes down the aisle, right?
I saw a clip of
I
that.
did too. I saw this clip on TikTok.
This dumb, she has the honor of being in Congress.
It's International Women's Day.
I know. She has the honor of serving us in Congress, including her district and me and you and everybody else in the country, and she treats it like it's a clown show.
Yeah.
And she puts on a hat. She puts on a MAGA hat.
She doesn't picture herself serving you and me. She pictures herself serving her district.
Right. But as the people's house and as someone who I think it's an honor to serve in this place, you gotta have decorum.
Okay.
And I don't care. And she doesn't. And she's wearing a shirt that says "Say her name."
She looked like a damn clown.
Yeah. Say her name.
Right.
She puts on a MAGA hat and gives.
She looks like a clown.
And gives Biden a coin.
Right.
With the poor girl that was killed at University of Georgia.
Right.
And says, say her name. And then she goes on and interrupts his speech and does this again. And I actually thought I was nervous because I was like, he's not going to know her name. He's going to, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So and I thought he did great. Here he is.
Not really.
Look at his notes. Nope. Grabbing the pin.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand.
Possibly I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard now that I watch it again.
I thought it was a great retort to somebody screaming at him from the audience, trying to bait him into like not being able to say her name. And she kept saying
Joe?
that, can't say her name.
What'd you think, Joe?
Her voice is awful.
Oh, God.
It's like nails on a chalkboard.
She's an idiot.
But wait.
I'm glad that Biden responded properly. He knew all about her.
Yep.
Okay, like if he didn't know her name, it would be completely
so embarrassing.
It would
she
be
handed him a
devastating.
pin.
But what I'm saying is, he
name
didn't know that she was going to be dressed like a clown when he got there. He found out when he got there, and obviously he didn't have time to get briefed on this. So what I see is he walks into Congress, sees this clown, and he has to know on the spot, oh, she's trying to get me to talk about Lincoln Riley, and this is who Lincoln Riley is, and he knew everything.
Yeah.
So, like, that's one thing that I have, and I'm not pulling for this guy, John. I'm just being objective here. You guys pick these two clips. I'm just telling you like I see it.
I'm being objective, too. He said she was killed by an illegal.
Yep.
But how many people are killed by legals?
Agreed.
That's his response?
That was-
Well, no, I think the point there is, and again,
What's the
taken out of
point?
context, John. So what you have to see is earlier in the speech, he talked about the fact that, yes, we got to fix our border. And he asked Trump again, thanks for, fucking up the bipartisan bill. But he also said, we have a problem with legal people in the country killing each other with guns and gun violence. And that was the context.
I didn't know what he was trying to say.
He had said it earlier, and so he's bringing that up again.
I didn't know what he was talking about.
So I'm just saying that I thought he did great by going up against her, and I thought he, as Mayor pointed out, I thought he responded. Responded appropriately.
I did not watch this last night, John.
I didn't either. I didn't either. This is the first time I'm seeing this. I didn't either.
Did you think that her outfit is a direct attack on African Americans?
Sure, it's it's trolling.
What?
It's trolling like say his name, say her name.
Oh
say
yeah.
So he's like, oh, I'm going to take this up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. I didn't pull that. I should have pulled that
Yep.
out. Yeah.
Also,
but
if she sits down next to you, you immediately try to find another seat, right?
Yeah, this poor lady next to her, right? But like honestly, I think thankfully, because if Biden gets up there, he doesn't know who Lincoln Riley is. He freaking probably loses the election on a stunt like this.
Yeah.
If he didn't know who Lincoln Riley,
Lincoln Riley,
he would have been devastatingly. That would have been a devastating attack, and people would be saying she's a genius. But he knew it,
and
he didn't get briefed on it. So
I could be all wrong about this, but I just remember this whole like shouting out at the president thing, starting with Obama. I don't, and John, you could correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody could on chat. I don't remember that happened with Trump. Like where Democrats shouted out at Trump.
No, it happened before. Somebody said you're a liar to Obama.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying with Obama.
Yeah,
that didn't happen with Trump, and then now it's happened with Biden. It's like, come on.
Right.
Especially her. It's like, you shouldn't be doing that in sitting in Congress.
Well, she wants to be the vice president. That's what she's doing.
Well, that's a good way for the Republicans to lose.
She's a freaking clown.
Let's play this clip, John, if you could. This is a great clip of one of our faves, MTG, in England somewhere getting, or maybe it wasn't in England.
No, she was in the Capitol getting interviewed by
it was in the Capitol.
BBC.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I saw this too. This is good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's
play
hear
It's about
it.
a minute. Let's play it, though.
What do you think the message should be to Nikki Haley tonight?
Well, we've been encouraging her to drop out and support President Trump, and I think tonight is the clear message that President Trump is the clear front runner. He's the winner in our Republican primary, and it's time for Nikki Haley to drop out and support him.
Do you think President Trump, Mr. Trump, is closer to picking his VP, and should you be on that list?
Oh, that's the question everyone asks, and no, I don't think Nikki Haley should be on the list, but of course President Trump will choose who he wants for VP.
Would you like to be on that list?
He's got a long list. I support President Trump in any way he'd ask me. But I can assure you it won't be Nikki Haley.
And can you tell me why so many people that support Donald Trump love conspiracy theories, including yourself? He seems to attract lots of conspiracy theorists.
Well, let me tell you, you're a conspiracy theorist, and the left and the media spreads more conspiracy theories. We like the truth. We like supporting our Constitution, our freedoms, and America first. So
what about Jewish space lasers? Tell us about Jewish space lasers.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers? And really, why don't you fuck off? How about that?
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Woo! Wow, there she goes.
This was Mar-a-Lago, actually, I think.
Oh, was it?
Okay.
I don't think I've ever told a reporter to fuck off. Maybe I did.
Add that to your to-do list.
I think you
I know.
probably have over 20 years.
I've gone off on reporters and then apologized.
It got her.
So classy.
Under her. At least she didn't have the MAGA hat on, though.
That's where we are, though.
Or the
in
say her
America.
name shirt.
Honestly, like back in the day, everybody used to respect the media and be accountable to the media. Now you can
Now
say
the media's
fuck
the
off.
enemy.
Now you can say fuck off.
Yeah.
And it's cool. You get like clout for it. But
Mhm.
hey, real quick,
We got to get
season
Paul Vallas
11.
in here.
Season 11 wouldn't be complete if we didn't do a Mayor Tiffany story. So we do have a real quick Mayor Tiffany story, and then
Yes,
right
we
after
do.
that, we're going to announce the Thursday night act at the Festival of Lakes. So hang on for a couple more minutes. But Mayor Tiffany, we've been doing a lot with her during season 11.
I love this story.
And obviously, her and her council have been fighting in her role as mayor. She's been fighting the media. She's been fighting her board at Thornton Township. So she's under complete attack. Last show, we had 2 of her chiefs of staff on. I listened to it. I thought it was great. By the way, we did a good job.
Great guests.
Right. And then they also talked to us a little bit about the council's investigating Mayor Tiff.
Yeah, they had passed a resolution at the Dalton Village Dalton Village trustees had passed a resolution to request the FBI, the state, and anybody else to investigate their mayor Tiff. So I mean, it really is just it doesn't have any effect of
It's
law.
like an ordinance.
It's a resolution.
It's a resolution.
No, so it doesn't
Yeah,
really
it's
have
just
any
like a
effect.
statement.
It's a
Like,
statement.
hey, we got things going on here.
We're a sanctuary city resolution, maybe, or maybe
Right.
or
Right.
we want to support LGBTQ, whatever, right?
Whatever, right.
Yeah. So it's a resolution. They pass it, and you get resolutions, Mayor.
Yeah, so like
And you
resolutions are like ordinances, except for they're not as formal. You could do a resolution in one meeting, but the resolution has to be approved by the majority of the council and signed by the mayor in Indiana. So I imagine resolutions in villages are the same way.
Same.
The majority of the village trustees approve it, and then it goes to the mayor's office.
And
so they approved a resolution calling for an FBI investigation into Mayor Tiffany, and they sent it to her. What happened?
She vetoed the resolution in her own investigation, which I love. And
She's like, no investigation.
There's a great clip in this when she speaks, and she calls it secret squirrel meetings, which I thought was funny. So maybe like the first 20 seconds of this is really good.
It's not
Or
playing.
it's not okay.
Well,
So yeah,
yeah.
she also called it like a boys club, and she put, this is great. So now the media at the council meetings or the trustee meetings is way in the back. They put them way in the back under this when this like stanchions around it, and they can barely get the audio.
That's some Trump
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
That's good stuff. Yeah, she's
So Mayor
so
Tiff.
she could veto the resolution from her village trustees.
I wonder if that's stopping the investigation.
I wonder if that works with the FBI. Does it? Sorry,
They're
FBI,
like,
I
oh shit,
vetoed
guys,
this.
stand down.
Oh my God, you vetoed that resolution, Mayor. My bad. I'm out.
The agents are all standing down right now.
They're like, you guys need to get these votes. We can't come in there without it.
We've been vetoed.
Idiot.
This is almost like ringing the dinner bell more than her just letting the resolution
totally
happen.
agree,
She should just quit.
John,
as mayor.
totally
Try
agree.
to save her ass. I quit right now. Walk out, like move to freaking California.
Yeah.
Like get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like do everything you
Maybe
can.
they'll
to
forget about me.
Right? Like get the fuck out of town. Like you gotta like.
It's the
flee.
opposite, John. She's doing the opposite.
Yeah.
So, all right, time for a big announcement.
All right, finally, this is the first act we're announcing for the Festival of Lakes.
Whoa.
We started with a biggie. We did. We're still in the process of assembling a couple of our nights. So, but we have 3 ready to announce. We're going to announce one now. We're going to announce one in a week
Couple
or so.
weeks, yeah.
So, but we're going to do the announcements here on Lockpod. So, if you want to know what's going on with the Festival of the Lakes, we are your station. Season 12 will be all about the Festival of the Lakes. So. We're gonna let Mayor Tiff go in season 12. We're gonna focus on the Festival of Lakes.
I don't know. That
I
she'll
don't know.
let you.
I think she's
What's
gonna
that,
come
Joe?
back.
I don't think she's gonna let
I
you.
agree.
Oh, really?
She'll be back.
Okay. All right. So here we go. This is a Thursday night act. Thursday night we typically go with usually like alternative types of music. Sometimes I know we played Limp Bizkit on Thursdays before, and any other Thursdays? I think we did Bush on Thursday.
Like it, John.
I can't remember.
All right. Well, here.
all a blur.
How about this?
I agree.
2024
All a blur.
Thursdays band. City Hammond and Mayor Thomas McDermott Jr. are excited to announce that Shinedown will be the headline act of the Festival of Lakes on Thursday, July 18th. Get ready to experience the electrifying energy and powerhouse performance of one of rock's most iconic bands. Prepare for an unforgettable night as Shinedown takes the stage to deliver a sonic journey through their chart-topping hits and powerful anthems including Second Chance, 45, and A Symptom of Being Human. From their explosive riffs to their soul-stirring vocals, every moment of this night will be a testament to Shinedown's undeniable talent and passion for rock and roll. Shinedown, Thursday night, Festival of the Lakes.
Solid.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Phil's a big fan. I know that. And he was talking these guys up when you were able to get them there. And he said that lately I wish I could remember the name of the song. I think it was one of the ones you just mentioned. But Phil was saying, like, the video's gone viral. They're huge right now. And this could easily have been a ticketed show. So it's going to be a big crowd.
So this is a
According
free
to Phil.
show, right?
Free show.
Free
Come on
show.
out. By the way, VIP experience passes are on sale now at festivaloflakes.com. So go to festivaloflakes.com. All social media, go to Festival of the Lakes, and you can link over to the VIP passes, and you can get them. They're on sale. And by the way, they're cheaper now. They go up June 1st. They go up again July 1st. So get them while you can at a cheap price. I think $75 right now.
Chat's going crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone's pumped.
Joe.
I haven't been on a sonic journey in a while.
Do you know these guys?
Yeah, I know a couple of their songs.
I do not. Like, that's
Just
a
like
crazy.
2.
I think I'm a little bit too old.
They're like 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like right below us. Like Phil loves them, and he's
Really?
like 6 years younger than us.
This had to. When did
5
they
years
come
younger
out?
than us. I think
Was it
they're
when I
big,
was
like
underwater?
Must have been. I don't. Yeah.
Because
90s.
I have gaps in my
People will help
history
us.
because I was underwater protecting your country.
You should use that all the time.
I do.
Like The
Whenever
Simpsons.
it's cool. Like right now, it's cool.
Yeah.
Right. Like The Simpsons. I miss The Simpsons. But like I was protecting our country against Vladimir Putin and the freaking empire.
Empire of the East.
The dictatorship, USSR, Russia.
All right, so great announcement. Again,
Thank
go
you.
to festivaloflakes.com. Great job by the Festival of Lakes team getting these folks in. Shinedown's going to be great on Thursday night. We're going to do ads. Mayor's going to read the first ad. He's going to hop out. Jill and I are going to do the rest of the ads. And by the time we get done, Paul Vallas will be sitting here ready to go. So stay tuned.
So when we come back, former Chicago mayoral candidate, governor candidate, superintendent of multiple school districts. This is going to be a great interview. So come back for Paul Vallas, everybody. Powering Indiana, Lake County. This is the studio we're coming from. IBEW Local 697 and NECA proudly bring you Powering Indiana, Lake County. With over a century of experience, they've been safely wiring the region. From powering corporations along the lakefront to lighting up homes across Lake County, Powering Indiana, Lake County is your trusted source for electrical professionals. Join them as they continue to light the way for Northwest Indiana. Visit Powering Indiana, Lake County at www.poweringindiana.org.
MCR Partners. Are you seeking expertise in economic development, finance, and planning? Look no further than MCR Partners, your go-to professionals for comprehensive solutions. Their dedicated team's ready to assess your opportunities and ensure the successful completion of your projects. Discover the difference MCR Partners can make in navigating the intricacies of economic development. Stay informed and connected by visiting their website at mcrpartnersllc.com. And for personalized assistance, reach out to Matt Reardon at 219-741-9511. A little preview. Matt Reardon will be in the studio Tuesday.
Ooh.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Byway Brewing, a family-friendly, microbrewery welcomes you to their spacious tap room and outdoor patio. Enjoy award-winning craft beer, a chef-driven menu, and craft draft cocktails. Their unique brewing equipment and production facility provide a perfect backdrop for private events, whether it's a bridal shower, reunion, or corporate party. With their new food truck, they can cater to your corporate and private events off-site. Customer service is our top priority at Byway Brewing, just off 8094 at the Kennedy Avenue South exit. Discover more at bywaybrewing.beer.
Kuklakis Law. Are you currently navigating complex legal challenges, unsure of where to turn for guidance? Your search ends here with Kuklakis Law, your trusted partner for legal solutions in Indiana and Illinois. Whether you're seeking expert representation for real estate transactions, need assistance in forming your business, or have experienced a personal injury at work or in a car crash, Kuklakis Law is here for you. No matter the nature of your legal issue, their team is ready to help. Call today at 219-671-6347 to schedule your free consultation. Hablamos Español, and Kuklakis Law will be in the studio Tuesday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do we have
We'll
enough chairs?
Who knows? We're going to find that out.
Who knows?
Rogers Roofing. When you demand nothing but the best for your home and family, trust the industry leader, Rogers Roofing. For over 54 years, they've been transforming homes in Northwest Indiana and Chicagoland. Their commitment to quality shines through in their roofing, siding, gutters, and windows, all backed by the most comprehensive warranties in the business. Visit their website at rogersroofing.com or call 219-933-9145 to schedule your free consultation. That's rogersroofing.com or 219-933-9145. At Rogers Roofing, we expect nothing less than excellence every time.
Misprint Printing. Elevate your brand with Misprint, the premier printing and sign solution in Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. With a 30-year legacy of excellence, their experienced team, led by Rick Baltonsberger, combines innovation and technology to deliver top-quality signs and printing, always on time and within budget. Visit them at misprintusa.com to bring your vision to life today. Misprint, your partner for creating impactful visual solutions.
Calumet Brewing. It's time to experience Michelob Ultra with only 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, and 4.2% ABV. The perfect way to start 2024 and keep those resolutions in check. It doesn't matter if you're kicking back after a workout, hitting a pickup game at the park, or heading out to a day on the slopes. Be sure to enjoy a superior light beer that's only worth it if you enjoy it. Michelob Ultra is brewed to be a complement to your healthy lifestyle. Head over to Cal Brew or the Michelob Ultra websites and social media pages for details on this great family of beers. Enjoy the Ultra lifestyle with beers, and cheers responsibly.
Prestimer Insurance Company. For decades, Ron J. Prestimer Insurance Agency has been your trusted neighbor right on Indianapolis Boulevard, serving all your insurance needs. Their wide range of insurance products and services, including auto, home, business, and life insurance, have helped over 1,000 individuals and businesses throughout Chicagoland and the Midwest. Call Ron or Ronnie today at 219-844-0103. They're here to protect what matters most to you.
Whew, last one. Tortillas Nuevo Leon sets the gold standard in Mexican cuisine across the Midwest. Look for our iconic red and white label at your local grocery store. Indulge in the finest Mexican products crafted with local expertise and savor the taste of authenticity. Discover the flavors of Tortillas Nuevo Leon today.
Tortillas Nuevo León, hechas con amor, para ti y tu familia de todo corazón. Tortillas Nuevo León, hechas con amor, para ti y tu familia, de todo corazón.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for our sponsors who make LockPod possible. Please help them out by frequenting their business. It's my pleasure, everybody. This is a huge kudos to LockPod to get a guest of this caliber, but I want to introduce Paul Vallas, the former candidate for governor, lieutenant governor, former candidate for mayor, two times in Chicago, multiple superintendents of Chicago, Philadelphia, Bridgeport, Connecticut. This gentleman has had an amazing career, and it's a pleasure to introduce him. Paul Vallas.
Well,
welcome to LockPod, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
This is awesome. This is a big deal.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
Paul and I were talking. Paul, that's Jill. Jill's with us also, and John Vez. He's the producer. I was reading through your resume, and I followed your mayor's race, Paul, okay? And I thought personally, and I haven't met Mayor Brandon yet, which is unusual. I'm next-door neighbor.
You would think.
But I was impressed by your campaign, and I thought you were the candidate at the time, and obviously that shocked me that you weren't successful. But my theory is, after reading through your resume, the media just didn't cover your amazing career. Like, I think that the fact that you headed to schools in Philadelphia and Chicago, I didn't think you got enough attention on that, and I think it would have made a difference personally.
Yeah, I think the media had a tendency, and many people in the media knew my record. Not only my record in Chicago and Philadelphia, my rebuilding schools in New Orleans after Katrina. The opposition tried to paint me as some right-wing MAGA Republican.
Wow.
Yeah, and they did it consistently. So they ignored the fact that when I ran for governor against Rob Blagojevich, as you know, I lost by like 1.5 percentage points. I ran against the machine as an independent Democrat, which I've always been. That I actually supported marriage equality, or the fact that I did prison reform work in the Justice Department for Sally Yates on how to create education and occupational training alternatives to incarceration for nonviolent offenders to get them back on track. So those type of things were ignored, or the fact that I did relief work in Haiti. I've been in Haiti about 40 times. For 10 years, I was finance chair of Sean Penn's organization. It's called CORE, Google CORE. Sean, of course, is now very active with a big supporter of the American support in the Ukraine. And of course, Sean, we did hurricane relief. We did 3 million COVID vaccinations in 8 different states.
Sounds like solid MAGA credentials there.
Yeah, MAGA. That's really solid
just keep
stuff.
going because you got
I know.
Yeah, making Donald Trump proud.
But that's unfortunate. And, they're playing that card now with other independent Democratic candidates. Yeah. I mean, do I, cross over on certain views? I'm a fanatical supporter of school choice. I believe inner city kids, poor families should have educational choice.
You and Mayor both.
Absolutely.
I started a charter school in Hammond called the Hammond Academy of Science and Technology, and it gets Bs, which we celebrate in Hammond because it's an urban city, and typically our schools aren't graded B by the state of Indiana. Mm-hmm. We get good grades. It's
98% graduation rate.
But by the way, I get beat up by Democrats for doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of like the bad boy in the party, and I was mentioning to Paul before we got on, one of the typical cuts against me is he's just a Republican.
Yeah, I know.
Is that like a typical response?
Absolutely. Well, case in point, I got heavily criticized because in 2009, in an interview, I praised George Bush. And
who's a nice person, by the way.
Very nice person. Disastrous wars, things like that.
True.
You know what I mean? Whatever. But I calmly pointed out that when I was in New Orleans, I was a party to the largest FEMA settlement in history. Bush tried to make amends for their slow response to Katrina. Incidentally, the mayor Nagin, who ended up getting indicted and going to prison for 14 years, he was the real one. He was the real one who dropped the ball. But that's besides the point. But we secured a $2 billion FEMA settlement, and I worked for the late great Phil Rock, president of the Senate, and I worked for Dawn Clark-Netsch, who was the first woman everything in Illinois. And they said between the elections, you've got to govern, and you've got to work with people, and you've got to come together, and you've got to compromise. So I learned from those traditional moderate Democrats and
how to get things done.
Yeah, and how do you badmouth somebody who basically provided your school district with $2 billion in FEMA settlements to rebuild an entire school system?
You thank him.
You don't.
That's what you
thank
did.
him. That's right.
So let me just. I want to make sure our listeners and viewers understand this. Am I correct that in the 2020 was it 2023 mayoral or 2022 in Chicago?
Yeah, in 2023.
2023. Okay. So there's a primary which everybody runs,
right? And
then if nobody gets 50, the top two run off.
That's right.
And you led after the initial primary.
Yeah,
right?
I got 32% of the vote. I think Johnson got 22%, and
that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And Lightfoot got third, right? I'm sorry, Mayor.
Lightfoot was third.
Yeah,
you'd be mayor in Indiana under those rules. I'm not trying to be. I actually, although I think that you were the right choice, I do think.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
But like in India, I actually look at the way Illinois does their mayor races and having runoffs. I think that's a good thing because any mayor that limps into office with 32% of the vote doesn't have a majority, and that's difficult, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree that the runoff system is the right way to do it?
Yeah,
even though it cut you?
I do. But let me tell you what they did. The system was really designed to maintain the status quo. look, they pushed the runoff system in part because Daley had lost to Harold Washington, and I don't think they wanted to get into an election where you had, at the end of the day, I'm going to say it.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, basically, running against like 2 white candidates versus 1 black candidate, whatever. It's the Harold Washington thing. So
that's crazy.
So they designed it. That's the
great backstory of that.
Yeah.
But they also scheduled the primary in February, which is the absolute worst time for people to go to the vote. And then from the primary to the general election, it's like 4.5, 5 weeks.
Right, 40 days or something.
Right. So if you're a candidate, reform candidate, independent candidate, who just happens to get into that runoff, you literally have 5 weeks to do the fundraising and to build the organization needed.
And you got a machine out there.
Yeah. And everybody says, well, the union president, the union backed candidate won. That was unprecedented. No, the political machine in Chicago is Tony Preckwinkle, the president of the county board and the chairman of the party, who incidentally has gifted us by giving us Fox, who believes that the state's attorney's office is a social service office and not a prosecutorial office, and of course they've emptied out the jails. Half the jail population, despite the fact that we have a crime pandemic and that the crime has significantly increased.
I like that crime pandemic.
Yeah, we're in and we should talk about the source of that crime pandemic.
Of course,
in a second.
know. I was wondering if you're going to go.
Oh,
there.
yeah,
I have no problem with that.
Because
honestly.
there's a direct school connection, and I've been doing this. I've been in the trenches, taking responsibility for failed districts for 25 years. I'm kind of like a crisis manager, or going to Haiti, going to the Sudan.
You're described
whatever.
like that as a crisis manager.
That's what I do.
I had if we could go to education for a second, because I want to ask about this. I noticed something as I was doing some research that it said that Mayor Daley got the Illinois legislature to give him control over the schools and the school board. Do you know why? Why did he want that at that time?
Well, the question is, did he want it, or did the Republicans force him to take it? Later on, the history was he wanted it, he demanded it, and on the other hand, I remember at the time they were really nervous about getting to schools because, and again, lifelong Democrat, the Republicans got tired of doing the annual Chicago Public School bailout. When I was on the legislative staff, there always seemed to be a crisis. They had 8 strikes in 15 years. They had work stoppages. Constantly, the governors had to step in and provide relief. So the argument was they simply got fed up and they gave the mayor control of the schools. To his everlasting credit, he assembled a good team. Just not me. Gary Chico, his chief of staff, became the board president. Extraordinary. Another guy who could have been mayor and came close and would have been an outstanding mayor.
What's interesting is I was watching the news yesterday, and the governor of Illinois is signing a bill that gives a hybrid, basically giving 10 back to the voters this year. So the mayor's going to have 10 appointments, and the public's going to vote for 10. And then I think in a year or two, they're going to give the other 10 back to the public. So it's almost like they're going backwards.
Well, it was really interesting. The mayor got control of the schools, and I think there was a period when there was transformational reform. I mean, we balanced budgets. There was a different union leadership then, more moderate, more focused on the teachers rather than seeing themselves not as a political party, but as being an advocate for teachers. I mean, we had great success. We were nationally recognized. Our enrollment actually over a period of 7 years, after having lost 100,000 students the previous 15 years, and when it comes to numbers, it's one thing that I can always do. I always remember numbers, which makes me a very boring person. but over a period of 7 years, our enrollment grew by 40,000. AAA bond ratings, $3 billion in school construction. So there was a renaissance, and that was a period of mayoral control. What happened was the unions want to dominate the schools. The Chicago Teachers Union has ceased to become a union advocating for teachers and more of a political party. You see it, and they're making all sorts of social demands, and they claim that there needs to be a $30 billion green revolution in Chicago and the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And they throw that stuff out in the contract
negotiations. And it really has
negotiations.
nothing to do with
it. It has nothing to do with it.
Right.
And they throw it out in their contract negotiations when their ultimate aim is the following. We want more members, we want more pay, we want less work, we want less accountability.
Right.
And that's really their ultimate goal. But the union pushed for this elected school board. The minute they got their guy, because Johnson was a failed teacher, 4 years as a teacher, couldn't cut it, ended up becoming a union lobbyist. Now, of course, he's which really prepares him to run the third largest city or fourth largest city in the country. So at the end of the day, he is now, the CTU is now running the show. The Chicago Teachers Union leadership is now running the show. And now that he's in, they're a little nervous about having a fully elected school board because they got to run candidates. They have to raise money. So they want to delay it. What they want to do is they want to delay having a majority of school board members elected because the mayor gets to appoint the majority of the school board. So they want to get their contracts through, and they want to do their damage, so to speak.
You've been the superintendent in Chicago, in New Orleans, in Philadelphia, and in Bridgeport. I'm sure they all had their own challenges.
Yeah.
Just without, I mean, I don't want to go into the weeds on this, but what would you characterize as which district was in the worst shape when you got there?
Well, they were all in Philadelphia was a state takeover in Philadelphia. Also had a great relationship with the union there. We raised math score. We tripled math scores and double reading scores across all demographics. But we were able to work with the union that at the end of the day put kids first. And while we needed to accommodate them in certain issues and be respectful of their concerns and their prerogatives, if we laid out something that was sound, like finding a way to lengthen the school day and lengthen the school year while not forcing the teachers to work that extra time, but incentivizing them to do that, because a longer school day, longer school year is probably the most critical component to closing the achievement gap. I mean, in America, we have the shortest school day and school year in the industrial world. You want to know why Singapore does a better job than us? Some would argue that they have better teaching. No, the kids are in school. They have about 1/3 more instruction than what we mandate. In New Orleans, the school district, the new school district we built, led the state in academic improvement by 22 points for 7 consecutive years. Why? Because I'm a genius? No. All these schools were independent schools. But the kids received about 35-40% more instruction.
So they had to go
mandated.
An hour or two longer every day?
Yeah. So the school day was longer. The summer was more compressed. What we actually did was we had more breaks during the year. So example, like Mardi Gras, there was a week off. Jazz Festival was a week off. Teachers got a break. But the kids weren't sitting idle for 10 weeks over the summer. Rather, they were sitting idle for 5 weeks over the summer.
Interesting. Really interesting.
Exactly. So that was a key ingredient to transforming all those districts. That's why all those districts saw phenomenal growth in their academic performance. It was because of the more instructional time attached.
Paul, in Indiana, we recently, the state took over, and obviously a very conservative state. They took over funding of the schools, which at the time was a relief for the cities who used to fund it themselves, okay? And what they instead did was they went to a referendum funding model, where every 7 years, if you get an operating referendum approved, you have to go back to the voters every 7 years. Well, what happened in our city, and I'm a mayor that has no influence. That's the way Hammond does it. There's no influence from the mayor's office.
Elected school board.
And it's an elected school board. They go up for a referendum in Hammond, and the referendum fails. All right? So now the school city is in a position where they have to lay off hundreds of teachers and close schools. And it's incredible that every 7 years you got to ask the voters to fund your schools. And if they say no, it's and it's an urban city, by the way, with challenges.
And you see suburban districts voting for the referendum. Yeah. And then you have an urban district like where we're at,
and they're punishing you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look,
why? Because we're poor.
Yeah.
Right?
Look, it's those are more political solutions than practical educational solutions. I think I've had success in all my systems because I always did two things. I always negotiated long-term collective bargaining agreements. I did in Chicago. 3.
What is that? 3
years?
3
contract. Always 4-year contracts.
Me too. I always do.
You know what I mean? So predictability, consistency, continuity, and I always submitted. Every budget always had to be a 5-year balanced budget plan. So everybody always knew the resources they were going to. And so it's important to have that consistency, that continuity, because then schools can adopt certain curriculum instructional strategies and models. They know the resources are going to be there. They know they know the resources that they're going to have available. The old Rolling Stone song,
Can't always get what you
Can't always
want.
get what you
want.
want.
Yes.
But if you try, but if you try real hard, you get what you need.
That's right. There you go.
So I would
I'm
give
glad
them
I
what
pulled
they
it out.
need.
like that.
I was thinking
Sorry
brown
about
sugar
that.
for a second. I didn't go
Oops,
there.
my God, I was having a bush moment for a second there, you know. And anyway, so those type of and that continuity is critically important, and I think that's what's missing. I will tell you that though that Indiana is doing some innovative things with their innovation schools. Mm-hmm. What Indianapolis basically did is they had failing schools, a whole series of failing schools, and what they did was working with the community. They allowed the community to demand a better school model. So they went in and they restructured and reconstituted those schools. Those are public schools, I mean, some of them are charter schools, some of them are district schools that have been reconstituted. But all those innovation schools or Renaissance schools, we call them different things, they're all thriving. They're all, I mean, that's expanding public school choice.
Are you worried about the future of Illinois, Paul? Because there's a lot of people in Indiana. That's the narrative here is that, I mean, and I could tell you from the front lines. I'm in Hammond. Yeah. I see businesses and residents constantly moving into our city from Illinois. So, like, are you worried about the future?
Yeah, you should probably be happy that where Illinois is performing so poorly. I write. I'm regularly featured in the Tribune where I do a series of op-eds, but I also write for Illinois Policy, which is a fiscally conservative think tank. As a Democrat, I'm the resident Democrat, and I did a piece after Governor Pritzker's State of the State, basically saying, what's the real state of the state? And by all indicators, we're struggling. Number one, we're near the bottom when it comes to population growth, and there's been a dramatic exodus of people leaving Illinois, and they tend to be higher income than the individuals who are coming to Illinois. So clearly, we're near the bottom. We're near the bottom in job growth, and sure, we've had a spurt of job growth in the last year or so, but in part, that's because our COVID mitigations were so damaging that now we're just now catching up. When it comes to the shrinking of the middle class, when it comes to our pension debt, when it comes to our disastrous test scores, when it comes to our tax climate, and whether you're looking at Kiplinger or other surveys that have looked at tax climate in Illinois and in Chicago, we're near the bottom. I think Chicago has probably the highest combined taxes on commercial property as any city in the country. I mean, we're near the bottom, and we're near the bottom in a state that is so rich and so diverse and so dynamic. I mean, if Illinois has a bigger economy than many European countries. So yes, I am concerned. Of course, that's a windfall.
For Illinois.
Yeah, some will say that that's a windfall to Indiana.
It is.
But you will also have to admit that if you have a strong, dynamic, thriving Chicago, that benefits the entire region.
Without a doubt.
I think it's better for me in Hammond if Chicago's thriving. It's better for me because we get better, flow through from Chicago than we do. But I agree. So like we're getting it from both ends, but we do. It's a literal thing, Paul, that we literally have businesses and wealthy individuals moving to where we live. Constantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a tax issue. It's a bunch of other issues, right?
It's a crime issue. Look, we've got the city council right now. Socialists are dominating the city council. Yeah. And I don't use that word lightly. You know what I mean? I'm just not being flippant by saying you're a socialist. You're right. But, we have a city council whose leadership is anti-Israel, almost to the point where it suggests that
took the vote. It was 50-50, right?
Where they're anti-Semitic. I mean, they are anti-cop. Yeah. And I'm just talking about.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and look, if you look at surveys in the poorest communities, in the black community, where almost 80% of the murders occurred and 96% of the murders committed by blacks. They want more cops. They want more security. They want better response times. I always say that in the poor communities, they're not afraid of the cops. They're afraid that the cops can't protect them. No witness protection, et cetera. That's why you have clearance rights. But if you look at the city council, they're anti-cop. They're anti-Semitic. They believe that the migrant crisis is a product of racist American foreign policies. So migrants are another victim, grandson of Greek American immigrants, by the way. Migrants are just other victims that we need to basically be compensated. So that's the attitude. And it's reflective in the city's policies, how the cities are doing.
Well, and I think that's something that, like, that some Republicans like to try the narrative that Democrats are anti-cop, and I think like you and what you do, and what Mayor Tom does with the police. I mean, he has been supportive of the police all along in his 20 years as being mayor.
I was running for Congress right when George Floyd blew up, and I'm the mayor. That's my first job, right? And I made it clear that I was with the police department, and I suffered major consequences because of it. And quite frankly, we almost had a riot in Hammond right before my election. My election was on Tuesday, and on Saturday and Sunday we had major hostilities in Hammond related to Rodney King, and it was obviously a tough time. George Floyd, excuse me. But it was right before my election was 2 days later. It was like, I don't think this is going to work out well.
You're a brave man. Look, I come from a family of 2 teachers and 4 police officers. My wife was a police officer. My dad's brother was a police officer, legendary detective, worked at Spec Case. If you remember the Spec Case. Yeah. And my 2 sons, I have 3 sons. 2 of my sons were police officers. Good. One's now a firefighter. So
nice. It's great. Public safety.
But for a while there, in the family, they were canceling each other because even within our own family there was like this division and this anti-cop knee-jerk reaction and I mean it's the same. Look, we have a problem in Chicago, for example, right now. They've totally degraded the police department. There are not enough cops to cover half the high priority 911 calls.
Well, morale's low.
Yeah. In 1 year, there were 255,000 911 calls for which there was not a car available when the calls came in. Wow. And these were considered high priority calls. Right. High priority calls. So it's a reason why, unless you're murdered, it's completely unlikely that they're going to if you get shot and you don't die, they're never going to catch the person who shot you. Or if you get your car, I mean, the clearance rates, the arrest rates for shootings are like 5%. The arrest rates for murder, when you actually are looking at arrests and not clearing cases, like clearing the board, it's actually maybe 1 in 6. So it's a disaster.
Hammond police, our clearance rates in the 90s always.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Yeah. It's just unbelievable. So we have these criminals, these habitual criminals who are back on the street. There's an organization, it's a website, it's called CWB Chicago, and they look at the individuals who have committed murder or shot somebody, attempted murder, who have been out on felony bail. And 15% of those of the people who have been arrested for murder or attempted murder were out on felony bail.
Wow. We talked about that. Mayor's actually talked about that. Yeah. Well, listen, Paul, we really appreciate you coming in.
No, it's my
been
pleasure.
Awesome.
Sorry,
and you're right. You are good with numbers. I was like, my mind was spinning here with all those numbers.
I almost put you to sleep.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Like Kevin
really interesting. I love this stuff.
Like I read through your biography or your bio yesterday, and I was like intrigued the whole time.
I appreciate that.
Your career. It is funny to me that when you went to college, you didn't get into education, and it seems like you spent most of your career. You were in political science, right?
Yeah. But I was a school teacher. I was a history teacher. Yeah. So I learned. You probably know this as well as anyone. When you go to work for the legislature, and I had, I was in the National Guard 14 years, and I had just gotten out of my infantry officer basic course, and I came back and I went to work for the legislature. And originally they put me on the elementary and secondary education committee because my background was education. But, when you work for the legislature, your resume counts for about 6 months. Mm-hmm. And it's like, who can get me what I need now?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So really what happened was my first year, there was a usual financial crisis, Chicago Public School financial crisis, and I came up with some ideas on how to address it. The next thing you know, I'm on the budget committee, and then I'm on the revenue committee. So all of my public finance was actually learned. It was actually on the job. It's like
on-the-job training.
Yeah,
great.
exactly.
And that's a good thing.
So when you work for the legislature, that's what you do. Your resume counts for about 6 months, and then basically
off you go. You're thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, thanks again. I really want to thank you for coming in.
It's my pleasure.
It's really good to have you in Lockpod. It was an honor.
Likewise.
And thank you for the folks that got you over here, Phil and Steve and those guys. So it's really good to have you.
Love to come back anytime.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Good luck to you,
We'll
Mr.
be
Mayor.
watching. Thanks. I'm cruising. I'm doing slow and steady over here in Hammond. So
as a fellow pragmatic a problem-solving Democrat. It's great to meet you in person.
It's great to meet you too, Mr. Vallas. Thanks. And thanks, Jill, again. It's great to see you today. Yep. And Jay Vez, awesome job today. And to the Lockpod audience, thanks for coming on. To our sponsors, everybody, another great show. We're going to be back on Tuesday. I know Matt Reardon's going to be co-hosting.
I mentioned that. Yeah, Matt Reardon's coming in. Kuklakis is coming in.
Kuklakis Law will be in here. We're going to be bringing you back another high-quality show on Tuesday. Thanks for listening to Lockpod. Thanks again to Paul Vallas and everybody who worked hard to get him in here. And thanks to our audience for listening to us. We appreciate you. Take care, everybody. See you on Tuesday.